Hi there. I've been invited to talk a little bit about self-realization, and I decided it would be easier to make a recording instead of typing it all out. So there are two different kinds of realization in my experience so far. I'm always open to learning more, but so far from what I've seen, there are two different kinds of self-realization. There's psychological self-realization and spiritual self-realization. Psychological self-realization is basically about getting to know yourself. And that's all about doing what we would call depth psychology or shadow work. You know, it's getting to know our shadow or our unconscious, the unconscious reasons why we do the things that we do. And I don't think that's something that anybody can ever possibly fully do in their lifetime. So that's more of a direction of travel. Like the older we get, the more opportunity we have to get to know who we are beneath the surface and why we do the things we do. And there's certainly value in doing that once you become aware of one of your unconscious reasons for doing things. It gives you the ability to behave consciously in that area in the future. So for example, I used to not be able to ask for help. And if I did, and somebody agreed to help me with something, instead of thanking them, I would actually apologize to them. Like I'd say, hey, can you help me with this? And they'd go, yeah, no problem. And I'd say, oh, sorry. But it was because I had this unconscious rule that it's not okay to ask for help. And once I realized that I was doing that and why, I was able to stop doing it. So now I can ask for help if I need help, and I can just say thank you if somebody helps me with something, whether I asked for the help or not. So that's just one example, but there's a lot of stuff like that that we all do. And the more we learn about ourselves, the more free we are to act in whatever way the situation calls for us to act, instead of needing to follow the programs that we learned when we were young. So there's a lot of value in trying to learn who you are psychologically and why you do the things that you do, so that you can heal those patterns, because those patterns are generally established through a painful experience. So the more we can release that pain, the more joy and freedom that we have in life. So in that way, I don't think anybody is ever really fully self-realized. It's just not possible. The unconscious mind does 1,000,000 times more processing per second than the conscious mind. So it's just like, there's just no way. However, you know, it's a good practice, and I don't, myself at this point, I don't put a whole lot of emphasis in it anymore for two reasons. Number one, it is physically destabilizing. When you do that kind of depth work, it literally rewires your nervous system, and that is pretty rough on the nervous system. And while there's value in it, it needs to be balanced with having physical pleasure, physical stability, time in between, time to heal, time to adapt and adjust. You know, if you just like go at it constantly, you are going to be growing a lot very quickly, but it's really hard on the body. You can get sick because of it. I've gotten sick a lot because of it. And it destabilizes every area of your life, really. And in some ways, that's a good thing, you know, once you realize that you don't need to keep doing the things that you have been doing. Now you have the freedom to stop. So you can quit that job that's bad for you, leave that relationship that's bad for you. So that's all great. However, you're never going to get to the finish line here. Like, there's just no way. And you're perfectly imperfect exactly the way you are. Like, I've done enough of that kind of work to recognize that these parts of me that have these rules, like never ask for help, as an example, and that's just one example. There are so many other ones. The parts of me that do that are hurting, And I might not feel it on the surface, but inside there's pain there that's attached to that. And once I process it, it can be released, and then it's just not there anymore. This frees up a lot of energy, and it really provides a lot of freedom too, like I said earlier. So basically, there is value in it. However, what I've learned from doing this, from talking to all these unconscious parts of myself, is that they're mostly like scared, hurting children, essentially. They're just doing their very, very best to protect me. And I'm at a point now where if something comes up, I will address it. You know, I comfort that hurting part of myself, but I don't really go looking for issues anymore. They'll come forward when they're ready to come forward. And I can recognize that all of the flaws that I've ever had in my life were just these parts of me that were trying to protect me. That's all any of them ever were. And I love them exactly the way they are, exactly the way they were, and exactly the way they'll be in the future. There's nothing that they can do to ever make me love them less. And once you're at that point with yourself, then it really frees you up to stop trying to fix yourself, you know? Like, I know that no matter what happens, no matter how people respond to me, no matter what kind of hardship I may face in my life, I will never abandon me. I will never reject me. I will never punish me. I will never blame me. I'll just love me and take care of me the best I can at that time. So having that kind of like inner safety and security means that I don't need to keep trying so hard to like find the solution for everything. You know, I'll never be perfect, and that's fine. I love every part of myself, no matter how flawed it is. And basically, like I said, there's value in self-realization. Allows for a lot of more pleasant experiences in life. However, all of it, all of the suffering, it's all part of life. It's all part of source, right? Like everything comes from and goes back to the same like pool of energy, and it changes shapes into matter and different circumstances over time. It's this kaleidoscopic dance of the universe, and it's beautiful. And that includes the pain and the suffering and the hardships and the challenges, all of it. It's all beautiful, and it's all love. Love is the fabric of existence. So from that perspective, it's like, okay, so I'm struggling. Okay, so I messed up. I snapped on that person, whatever. I don't need to judge it, and I don't need to resist it. I can just let it be what it is and just flow with it and appreciate that I am life experiencing itself in physical form. And like there isn't good and bad in nature. Good and bad are human judgments. So I can just let go of the judgment and allow things to be what they are and just love myself no matter what. So that's my take on psychological self-realization. The other type of self-realization is spiritual. And you don't need to do a bunch of work to get to the point of being spiritually self-realized. You can have that in any moment right now. All you need to do is, well, okay. One way to address this in a way that is more likely to satisfy the mind is to make a meditation out of it. Ask yourself, who am I? What is the part of me that isn't a part of me, that's just me? What is the part of me that never changes no matter what happens? That's always been exactly what it is now and will never be anything but that. What is that? And look inside yourself and just sit with it You know, the emptiness inside is something that not everybody is aware is there, but it's there for everybody. And people try to like fill the void, fill the hole, fill the emptiness with all sorts of things, or they try to run from it. They try to fix it. They think they have like some method or plan that will finally make them whole one day. And the trick is that what I have found, at least my experience with the void inside, is that if I put my attention there and I just sit there and just experience the stillness, the silence, the empty space, that it's actually home, it's peace. And it's scary to allow myself to just be there with it. And then you can even go a step beyond that and just be the emptiness and like merge with the emptiness instead of being with the emptiness. But in any case, if you are willing to stop running from the emptiness inside and just like face it, even though it feels like it's trying to swallow you whole, if you can just be there with it, and whatever you're experiencing in relation to it, just experiencing that too. You know, just be really honest with yourself about what you're feeling right now, whatever it is, just be with it. If you can do that, you can ask the question, who am I? Who am I really? Not tell me things about myself, not where is my soul from, or what's my life path number, or what is my astrological sign, or what's my purpose in life. None of that. Not those things about me. Just who am I? The underlying thing. And then just experience the answer. It's not something to mentally understand. You can't mentally understand spiritual things. Spiritual things can only be experienced. You can have a mental understanding of those experiences, but that's mental, that's psychological. True spirituality can only be experienced, or at least that's my understanding of it. So in any case, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I talked more than I intended to, but that is my 2 cents on the subject based on my experiences so far.